Hey everyone, I'm back here at Green Street Joinery for another episode of Today's Craftsman. And so today, I hear you guys are doing a shop
Well, sort of a modification, an upgrade.
shop upgrade, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, we need a place for the miter saw. Right now, it's been on this rolling toolbox for what, 2 years?
And so when you bring the lumber in, because I don't see you use the miter saw all that much.
We just use it to break down rough lumber. We don't use it as like precision tool at all.
I guess you're going to build a miter saw stand.
Yeah, a station of sorts, something that'll house the vacuum, have some wings on it. Jeff had this really interesting idea. He's going to integrate a store-bought rolling stand. He's going to modify it and integrate it into like a shop-built cabinet.
Yeah, so we wanted a way to be able to move the miter saw around the shop. Right now it's stationary on this big heavy toolbox. We wanted to be able to get it, you might be able to see in the back where we store our lumber. So we want to be able to get it over there when we're breaking down a lot of stuff. That way it's close, we're not carrying the lumber from there, 40 feet over to the miter saw. So the hardest part about designing a mobile miter saw station is the wings. So how do you make them strong, make them easy to build, and also make it so that you can store them away so that they're not in the way. We don't want this thing to be 12 feet long in the shop all the time. So I had this idea to, find a miter saw stand that has the extendable wings and integrate it into a cabinet. So we found that at Harbor Freight, the cheapest miter saw stand they have is just tubular steel. So we're gonna hack it to pieces basically, and we're gonna put it on top of a cabinet that I designed. Super simple, just a box with 2 doors. We'll have the vacuum on one side and 2 adjustable shelves on the other side, just because there's a little extra space. So we can keep blades and stuff in there. It's about 12 3/4 inch wide, so with a 12-inch miter saw, it'll be a good size.
And so what are you using for material here?
So this is some, we call it TFL, thermally fused laminate. You probably know it as melamine. So this is just leftovers from a job that we did. We built these bookcases and we had a lot of cutoffs and we had some extra sheets. So this is just edge banded. I cut this on our sliding table saw, edge banded it. We're ready to put it together. We're gonna be using biscuits and pocket screws.
All right, let's get to it.
Have all my parts cut here on this cart, and now we're gonna get this thing ready to assemble. So we'll be cutting in our biscuit slots and pocket holes. If you're interested in building this, we'll have plans available on the Green Street Joinery website for now, and we'll put a link in the description. It'll come with a full set of plans and even this plywood optimization sheet. So you can make this out of 2 sheets of plywood, really 1 3/4. So I have all my parts labeled. I like to label them, on an edge. So this is some blocking, but we'll separate out our parts that we need, and we'll cut the biscuit slots now. All of our biscuit slots are cut. We just put them in the sides, the top and bottom on this. We'll go to the Porter cable pocket cutter and cut our pocket holes. If you don't have a machine like that, you could use a Craig jig. That's what we used to use before we got that machine. So we'll pocket screw the rest of the parts and then we're ready to assemble. Pocket screws are cut. We're ready to assemble. So it's as simple as, you know, putting together the sides and the back. Rather, I should have said the sides and the top and bottom. This is either top or bottom. So our sides go on either side of that. So you see we have our biscuit slots cut there. So first thing we can do is put our biscuits in, and we'll throw some clamps on this just to hold it together while we screw it together. You don't really need to clamp this, but this melamine is very hard, so when the tip of the screw tries to pierce into this bottom piece, it's going to want to lift, so I put a couple of clamps on it. This is the carcass of the cabinet. Now we need to add in the small back that we have here and vertical partition so that we can get our adjustable shelves over here. You could probably see these shelf pin holes. We're going to put the sleeves in there. These are metal sleeves. We're using black this time. If you want to learn how to put these in, you have to see our last video on the channel. Nice thing about using these sleeves for shop cabinets is that we can really load these shelves up with crap, which is bound to happen, and we're not going to wear these holes out, especially in particle board. If you put too much weight on your pin, just in a hole like this, you know, you could wear these out and have a really wobbly shelf, so these are nice and solid. Time to bore for our hinge plates. We're going to use European concealed hinges in here, so we'll have 2 doors equal size. And I'm going to use this jig that I made on the laser, so it's just a piece of acrylic with some holes on 32mm spacing. This 3/4 is actually for a inset cabinet with a 3/4 inch face frame. So I'm just going to take a scrap of our door material, and I'm going to hold it here, and that'll give me the right offset. If you could see, it lines up right with our shelf pin holes, which are back 37mm. We spoke about that in the last video, that all of these European hinges and slides, they start 37mm off of the face of your cabinet. So I'll just reference the jig. This is equal here. I'll reference it at the top and the bottom. We can drill our holes and put in our plates. Somebody's going to say, you're going to drill into your fingers. This is the hinge base plate that we're going to be using. This is a 0mm, so that'll give us a full 3/4 inch overlay on the doors, so they'll be flush with the outside. And these are posi drive. You can tell by the little X on the head of the screw. So we're using a posi drive 2 driver. Getting ready to bore the doors for the cabinet. So we want to pick what side we want to be the outside. So this side's a little bit better. We'll put the hinges on this side. My hinges are 3 7/8 and 26 from the bottom. And I want to make sure that I measure that the opposite direction on this door. So from this side. So we need a left and a right. We're going to be using this machine here. This is a dedicated hinge boring machine by Ganymat. If you didn't have this, you could use a jig from Craig or even Bloom and Salice, the companies that make these hinges. They sell little boring templates, but it's just a little acrylic jig, sort of like what we have for the hinge plates. So this is another pneumatic tool. We're just going to line up our mark with this center mark. You can see I have a stop that's already been set up at that dimension. So we can flip on our clamps and bore. This machine's nice. It blows out the hinge cup hole, and it has an inserter for press-in hinges. We're using tool-free hinges, so we don't need that. But this will actually press in a press-in hinge. There's our world's simplest doors all wrapped up. We'll wait to snap these on until the rest of the cart's complete. But we're going to put this thing on its back, and Rob is going to install the casters on the bottom.
All right, I'm going to flip the cabinet to its back. Give me access, and I'll put the casters on. Jeff's done all the hard work. He's going to take a little lunch now. So we got these casters online. Just going to locate them, close to the edges, away from the joinery. I'll mark out a hole, pre-drill it, and that'll give me, place to fasten the caster on while I'm working on this vertical surface, and then I can drill the other holes, pre-drill into this stuff. It's kind of tough to get a screw started into it. I just picked, a somewhat arbitrary spot. I have a little gauge here, and it's hard to see on the millimeter, but I'm just going to draw a little horizontal line so I can just have a reference.
With your back, not your knees.
Oh.
These 4 pieces of blocking are the last parts of the cabinet, but we can't attach these yet because we need to cut off the legs of the miter saw stand and attach that to the cabinet first. Here is our Harbor Freight miter saw stand. The only thing we need from this is the base and these extendable arms. So we're going to cut it here. These are the brackets to hold your miter saw, but we're not going to use these, so we just take them off like this. On second thought, I think we're actually going to try the Sawzall on this. We have some carbide blades that should really cut through this fast. We're woodworkers, grinders with cutoff wheels, not our favorite tool. Went ahead and attached these two pieces of blocking together before we attach it to our cabinet here. Going with an 1.25 inch overhang on the back. That way we'll be able to push this tight against the wall if we have any conduit or anything on the wall. And you want to make sure that you have enough clearance here for your knobs, of course. So we'll screw this in from the inside, then we can set this bracket. Put a couple spacers in here to make sure that we're all aligned and we have clearance for our knobs, and we'll just put a couple screws here in the middle. Ready to put in our shelves. Ready to put in our shelves. And snap on our doors. All done building the cabinet. Now all that's left is to actually attach the miter saw, slide in the vacuum, and we're ready to start cutting some wood. There you have it. We're all done. We're ready to chop up some lumber. Something you need to take note of if you're going to build this for yourself is how the base of your saw is configured. Ours has a little foot underneath of the miter gauge here that's actually sitting on this front blocking. So take a look at your saw, see where it's going to fall. Even though this part of the saw base isn't sitting on this blocking, we are supported right here. We're going to add this cord reel, and we flip-flopped the plug and outlet. So we'll attach this to the side, so we'll have a lot of length. We can put this anywhere in the shop and plug it in. You know, if we were going to make this again, I would maybe add some overhang to the sides. That's something that I would think about doing because we have this overhang in the front and the back. So this is version 1.0. There's always a 2.0. You know, we tend to build these shop things one time, and then the next time around we make a lot of improvements. So hopefully you found it helpful and you can build one for yourself. There'll be plans on the website, and good luck.